Nothing Personal starts in 30 seconds. It's just business. This is Nothing Personal.
Here you go. Here you go.
Lloyd Christmas. That's the Nothing Personal word of the day. It is Friday, May 30th, 2025. And if you don't know Lloyd Christmas, where have you been? Jim Carrey, Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance. Every single New Yorker woke up this morning and said the same thing. They watched the Knicks take care of Indiana at the Garden last night, 111-94, crawling out of a 3-1 hole, going back to Indianapolis for a game on Saturday night, saying to themselves, we've got a chance. Forget the odds of coming back from 3-1, which happened maybe 13 times out of 300. Forget the reality that Tyrese Halliburton had a game that he will not have again, probably the rest of the playoffs, scoring barely anything, 8.6 assists, looking to pass first, shoot later. Indiana looked out of sync. The celebrities were there. Everybody was thinking to themselves, all you got to do, you win game 5, you find a way to steal game 6, you're back in the Garden for game 7, and then you're on your way to Oklahoma. Here's the thing about invoking Lloyd Christmas, other than laughing and never, ever putting your tongue on a ski lift. You have to realize that from the Knicks standpoint and the Pacers standpoint, when you play any game in a series, the mentality is very strange because now that I'm on the other side with you doing shows every day, it's totally different than the mentality when you're in the front office. You're not saying to yourself when you're down 3-1 in a series, wait a minute, been there. When you're down 3-1 in a series, you don't say, all right, let's just take care of game 5, then we'll go on the road, we'll take game 6, we'll beat this guy, then that. No. You don't really think that. You're way more focused on that particular moment, that particular game, the strategy that you want to employ, the rotation of your players, whether it's baseball, basketball, it doesn't really matter what the situation is. And then when you finish a game and you've won the game, it's done, and you view yourself as down 3-2, as though it was a 2-2 series and you lost game 5 and you're down 3-2, or you were basically up 2-0, then lost 3 in a row, you're down 3-2. You don't think about the path that got you there. While I'm watching the Knicks game last night, I was very, very uber focused on because that's what I do, on how I view this year's Knicks. And I am tired of the narrative that Jalen Brunson is the greatest Knick to ever play. They showed the plus minus when Brunson's in the game, and the fact that the Knicks potentially are better without Brunson, though he did score 32 points, though he did score 32 points for a franchise record 20th postseason game. Totally different world back in the 80s, 90s, 70s. People were not going for 30 all the time, but it's still good. He's fine. Hasn't won anything yet. Let's not get overly excited. I'm watching Karl Anthony Towns, thinking about Julius Randle, thinking about the trade. Again, occupational hazard. Here's another funny thing, Coca, for you. All the GMs and presidents, we never look back. We never think about the trades we made. We never think about what ifs. We all do all the time. And we talk about it all the time inside our suite or inside watching a game or inside meetings. You're always thinking about how to evaluate a trade, rooting against the player you traded, totally loving the fact that Randall and the Timberwolves got eliminated and hoping that with Karl Anthony Towns, you could make it to the next round, to the finals. watching him hold his knee while getting his 12th double-double of the postseason, and just thinking, the Knicks just don't have enough. The Pacers just don't have enough. None of them can beat Oklahoma City. And then I put my president's hat back on and realized we don't think about that. Not one time while winning a series in the league championship series were we thinking about, oh, can we beat the Red Sox? Can we beat the Yankees? No, we had to beat the Cubs. That's all you're thinking about. That moment, that game, that at-bat, that possession. There will be a game tomorrow night, Game 6 in Indiana. Indiana is going to be favored. I assume they're favored by 4. We'll see whether that line moves. We'll get to that in the Nothing Personal pick of the day later on in the show. But a final message for Knicks fans. Love where you are. Don't lament where you've been and where you could go. That is good for sports. It's good for life. It's good for your ulcers. It's good for your agita. It's good for pretty much any situation. You are 2 wins away from the NBA Finals in your first conference finals in 25 years. Love where you are. I'm sure you're all going to disagree with me. I'd like you to manifest that disagreement by calling a phone number. Coca, today's a big day for you and for me. This is our final 1-hour show. Right now, I would say, hey, we're 44 minutes away from Loverboy, 44 minutes away from the weekend. But what I'm really thinking to myself, although I'm in the moment, not thinking about anything other than what we're talking about right now, making sure the mouth is still behind the brain. Don't want to screw anything up before we unveil our 2-hour show on Monday. That would be some bit of irony, wouldn't it? Get the call from DraftKings. David, you came close. Nah, we're there. We're there. Last 1-hour show. It's amazing. 631 DPS 4869. If you're watching right now live, don't put us on hold or pause or 1.5 times. Coke, have you ever listened to this show 1.5 or 2 times? I got a email at davidsamsonpodcast.com. Someone who said, I work out every morning listening to your show on 2.0. And so it's a 25-minute workout. Get it? We're a 50-minute show. And I was thinking to myself, how do I respond to this? Because I want people to work out and be healthy. So I responded, guess what? You can still listen to 2.0 Monday, and you're going to double your workout. You're welcome. It means you can eat an extra donut if you so choose. So the number 631 DPS 4869 is a number where you can call and ask questions for So You Want to Talk to Samson. We're going to do a whole hour on Wednesdays with just you, just your questions on anything. It can be about Survivor. It can be about baseball. It can be about business. It can be about who's dating who. It can be about who's Zooming who, Aretha. It doesn't matter. Or you can come to us with some video. You can come to us with a suggested topic that you want us to examine, whether it's a press release, whether it's some coach talking after a game. So, for example, you may have come to me with what Peter DeBoer did after the Dallas Stars got eliminated last night. It was the last night, Coca, of the year where I had to do a 2-screen situation because there will be no more. It's going to be every day of NHL Stanley Cup and NBA Finals. They alternate days pretty much. After the Stars got eliminated by the Edmonton Oilers to set up a rematch of last year's Stanley Cup. Way to go, parody in the NHL. Listen to what Peter DeBoer said. Before you play it, Coca, here's what Peter DeBoer does. The game starts. It's a quick 2-0 lead for Edmonton. It's an elimination game. Shockingly, it's a game 5. All the conference finals in NBA, NHL are done after 5, except for the Knicks, who get to go to a game 6. So they're down 2-0. 2 goals, 2 shots. Meanwhile, their goalie's a guy named Jake Ottinger. Jake Ottinger is the 6th highest paid goalie in all of the NHL. Dallas has the top payroll in the NHL. Ottinger signed an 8-year, $66 million deal just last October. 2 shots, 2 goals. He pulls them. They lose the game, eliminated, and listen to what this coach did.
Well, anytime you pull a goalie, there's the reasoning's always to try and spark your group. So that was the number one reason. We had talked endlessly in this series about trying to play with the lead. And obviously we were in a 2-0 hole right away. And you know what, I didn't take that lightly, and I didn't blame it all on Jake. But, the reality is if you go back to last year's playoffs, he's lost 6 to 7 games to Edmonton, and we gave up 2 shots on 2 goals in an elimination game. So, it was partly to spark our team and wake them up, and partly, knowing that, status quo had not been working, and that's a pretty big sample size.
Spark your team. My nickname's Sparky, so whenever someone says spark, I like talking about that. It's a real spark. I don't know if you know that. When you're down 2-0, you pull the goalie, who is your number one goalie, you're one of your highest paid players, and you're going to really spark your team because the players are going to look and say, oh my God, I feel so sorry that they had to pull the goalie. It's like sparking your team when you fire the manager. It can work sometimes, but not often. But that's not what interested me the most about Peter DeBoer. Now, he's been a very successful coach. Yes, he gets fired and then the Golden Knights win the Stanley Cup. But if you look at what he's done, Dallas has been to the Western Conference Finals 3 years in a row. They've been eliminated by Edmonton now, obviously 2 years in a row. Spark your team. That's part of it. Next, can't go with the status quo. So I want to explain and understand both at the same time. You're down 3-1. You talk to your GM, you talk to your president and owner. Your plan is that you're going with your goalie because he's your goalie. His name is Jake. And then the whole plan goes to hell in a handbasket because he gave up 2 goals where really Edmonton was on the power play. And if you see a video, which we can't show because we can do a lot of stuff at Meadowlark, we can't really show highlights. And Edmonton on the power play, the defense was playing like a 4-box, and they did not come close to checking the Edmonton player who was in front of the goal. It wasn't even close. The goalie, it could have been Patrick Roy. I don't know why that was the first goalie who just came to my mind. That is so weird. I think because he's still going to coach the Islanders, so maybe his name was in my head. I have no idea. That is going to be the goalie's fault? I just don't see it that way. If you have a difference of strategy going into a game 5 when you're down 3-1, wouldn't it be not to play that goalie at all? Wouldn't it be to make a change when the game starts? Because if you're trying to change the status quo when you're down 2-0, are you talking about the micro status quo where you're only changing the status quo of that game? But then early on in his comments, Peter DeBoer was talking about, hey, we've lost 6 of 7 to Edmonton, and that's a pretty good sample size. What? Under whose rule of sample size? When I Google sample size, under no scenario do I see 7 games as a sample size. That's like when a baseball player hits 2 home runs opening day and you say he's on track for 100 and no, that would be more, for 324 home runs. It's literally absurd. Here's the other thing I love when coaches speak. This is great coach speak. We want to play with the lead. NSS, baby. Really? That's the best you're going to come up with? To me, when you pull a goalie after those 2 quick shots in an elimination game, do you want to know what it does? Because it doesn't spark your team. It panics your team. And the last thing you want to do is show panic. Every time you think you want to show panic, think about a flight attendant running up and down the aisle on an airplane during turbulence. It's the last thing you want to see as a passenger. You want to see calmness. You want to see, I've been here before, we've been here before. There's nothing to worry about. Pulling the goalie in hockey, to me, when there's no injury, I was thinking about this, Coca. Pulling a starter with the bases loaded and no runs in the first inning when it's your workhorse, that would be on my list. Putting a guy on the bench after playing 1 minute, that would be on my list. Pulling a goalie, that's top 5. Pulling a goalie in a game does nothing ever but show that you're either down big, you've lost complete faith in the goalie, and forget spark the team, forget playing with the lead, forget status quo, forget sample size. It's game over. And it's not as though Dallas just lost yesterday and it was not indicative of the series. The North Stars, 4869. I'm not sure. Well, 30% of you know exactly what I'm talking about. The Stars were outscored 19-4 after winning game 1. That's the bottom line. The bottom line is the Oilers are a better team. To me, I want to go down with my best. And that sounds crazy coming at you as a fan of the Knicks when Starks went 2 for 18 in game 7. And I said, please put in Blackman. Please do something. We can't lose like this. But when you're running a team, when you are responsible for the basic well-being physically and mentally of your team, of your players, when you are trying to maximize their performance, you can't run up and down the aisle. I'm pretty excited to see what happens in the Stanley Cup. We'll have plenty of time to preview Panthers-Oilers. We're going to talk about it. Remember last year, Panthers up 3-0. Edmonton wins the next 3. We go to a game 7 of the Stanley Cup. Panthers in position for a full meltdown, never before happened, and then they won the cup. Can they repeat? Will Connor McDavid get to raise his first Stanley Cup? Storylines galore. Hockey's having a moment, although NHL playoffs should always have a moment, though ratings are down and people are panicked. A lot of Canadian teams are involved. The games have been great, in my opinion. Even the blowout games are just fun to watch. Hockey was in the news yesterday, and this is a good one. So we're going to talk about Alex Ovechkin. We're going to talk about the Washington Capitals, and we're going to talk about an employee who is likely to be fired who works for the Capitals in corporate sales. The story here is that a rumor came out yesterday that Alex Ovechkin was retiring after next season. For those of you who've been living under a rock and hibernating with berries up your tuchus, you may not know that Alex Ovechkin broke Wayne Gretzky's scoring record this season for all-time goals, which was an unbreakable record, not like the Cy Young unbreakable record, but just a pretty unbreakable. Of course, it's now broken. And the question was, is Ovi coming back? He was hurt during the season. He broke his leg, but he ended up scoring 40-plus goals again. He led the Capitals into the playoffs, though they got beaten. I think they won. No, they didn't win the President's Trophy, Coke. I think Winnipeg did, but I think they were number 1 seed in the conference. Whatever. They had a good season. And the question was, will Ovechkin be retiring or not? And his thought was, even at 2 years old, that he's going to come back and play. But then yesterday, there was a report that next season would be Ovechkin's farewell. He'd be jersey swapping and shoulder pad swapping, giving skates away to charity, saying thank you very much, maybe going back to play for Russia, maybe not, maybe just fading off into the sunset, maybe not. We're getting ready to do all sorts of things the way you pre-write an obit for an older celebrity. We're going through Ovechkin's career, talking about the greatness. And then, no sooner are we loading stuff into the show, does word come out that actually it's not his next season. That actually next year is not his last season because he hasn't made a choice, which of course makes sense. But here's what happened. Somebody in the corporate sales department sent an email out saying that this will be Alex Ovechkin's final NHL season. So come on board, baby. Salespeople, when you're selling tickets or corporate sponsorships, you're looking for a hook in sports. You're looking, when you get the schedule, you're looking at what the big opponents are. Are the Yankees coming to town? Are they coming on a weekend? What are the heritage nights? When are the bobbleheads? Because when you're calling on people to make a sale, you're trying to get the hook. That makes sense. We've all been in sales. We've all been sold to. We're all major consumers on the TikTok shop and on Instagram, where they push things to you that you're going to buy no matter what because you need a 20th pair of cargo shorts when they're only 3 for $20. I digress. So when there's a possible hook for Alex Ovechkin, that's not just to sell tickets. That's when your corporate salespeople get on the phone. They're calling companies and they're saying, come on board, baby cakes, because you have an opportunity to be associated with something where you're going to get exposure that we only dream about in the NHL. We're going to be in the A block of all of these sports recap shows. We're going to be following every single game. It'll be on the news. It'll be national news, international news. We're calling on Russian companies. Forget tariffs, forget war, forget ethics. We're calling on everybody. So as a corporate salesperson, guess what? You're on commission. And one of the ways you get paid commission is to make a sale. Corporate sales have long lead times. You have to have many meetings. It's different when you're selling a group ticket where you may have to speak 2 or 3 times, or to a season ticket holder to renew maybe one time. When you're trying to get a company to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes even 7 figures, there are multiple calls, there's multiple meetings, there's multiple pitches where you put together a deck. Sometimes you bring in your team president and your VP of sales to try to close a deal. There's all sorts of stuff that happens. And what you're looking for is, how do I upsell? What do I do to try to get a company that has not yet been here, or a company that's been here, but I want to change them from once in a while on the ice to permanently on the ice, or get them a quadrant sponsor, naming rights sponsor? What can I do to get more money out of this person because I get paid a percentage of it? If you know that it's Ovechkin's last season and you can let someone know that, you have a chance to make a bigger sale and a faster sale. Why? Because when you can sell urgency, you have a chance to change the timeline that is normally associated. Car salesmen do it all the time. Listen, I can't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow, but if you want 10% off MSRP and you want the all-weather winter package, plus we'll throw in the floor mats, and if you want, we'll tint your windows, and don't forget about Apple Care package. But if you come back tomorrow, I don't know. I don't know if any of it'll be here. We only got 69 cars left. Corporate sales, it's such a great thing when you can call a company and you can say, we only have X number of slots here on the digital boards or on the ribbon boards in the arena where we play. And if you don't say yes right now, you're going to miss the boat. Here's the boat. Here's you. You're gone. Except here's the problem. We have meetings with our sales force every week. We've got individual meetings that happen at lower levels of a company every single day. You have a menu of that which you can sell. You have talking points from the baseball operations department. We would have our baseball operations department go meet with the sales force and say, you may not want to sell a bunch of Sandy Alcantara stuff, but you can absolutely go crazy with, Benji Waxman. Whoever. I've told you my calendar story, Coca. It's my favorite thing when we do a team calendar and the baseball department comes to me and we talk about where players are going to be, who's going to be traded at the deadline, who's not going to be, who's going to be let go as a free agent. And we put the players who may be gone by the deadline, we put them in the early months of the calendar. We put the young players who we know we're going to keep in the later months of the calendar, because the worst thing in the world is when you give a calendar away. Oh, look, we just flipped to September. Oh, my God, the guy's not here. The bobblehead schedule. You don't want to do bobbleheads after you trade a guy, so you put guys who are eligible to be traded, likely to be traded, at the beginning of the season. for the bobblehead giveaways. There's a system. If you know you've got Ovechkin going last year, last moment, get in while you can. But the team separated itself from this corporate sales guy so fast, threw him under the bus. And guess what? I'm not buying it for a second. They hung that corporate salesperson out to dry. Wouldn't surprise me if they fire the person, because they certainly don't want to get Ovechkin and his camp upset with them. They don't want to get ahead of news that they haven't had confirmed. But have they? Is there a possibility that they know that Ovechkin's playing one more season because he's told them exactly what his plan is, but he wasn't ready to announce it? Does this sound familiar? Hold on, let me think of a situation. Let me rack my brain with 25 minutes left on our final 1 hour show. Oh, did Tom Brady ever do that? Where word got out, leaked out somewhere else, and then he denied it, and then he did it, and then he denied it, then he came back, then he did it? No, maybe not. Guess what it really means? It means that Ovechkin's retiring after next season. It's not like he's a spring chicken. There is no scenario that a corporate sales employee would have made up something like that. What is way more likely is it was a note that was given to them, and they got ahead of themselves by going out with it because it may have been embargoed until a certain time, even until the middle of next season. There is information that you give to your salespeople, and it has to do with sales contests. It has to do with what you want out there, what you don't out there. There's a whole system that you do with your salespeople in order to get them to sell. Wait to see is when I tell you something's going to happen. And if it does, great. And if it doesn't, fine. No matter what, we're going to revisit all of the wait to sees, which you can see on davidsamsonpodcast.com. Alex Ovechkin will retire from the NHL after next season. Wait to see. You can bank on it. Why wouldn't I just say returned? Because he is returning next season. I'm talking about it's after next season is retiring. That's the wait to see. Coca, next Friday, you're going to get a whole hour with our audience to talk about all the things that I do wrong. I can't wait for you to yell in my ear and have everyone hear it. I can't wait for the audience to understand what it's like to do a show and have the dulcet tones of Matthew Coca. Why didn't you just say return after next season? I'm saying he'll retire from the NHL after next season. That's the wait to see. All right, let's take a break. Yesterday, we didn't take a break. Today, we are. When we come back from the break, we're going to review a mini-series, a limited series I watched. And then I want to talk about an investment that MLB made and the reason behind that investment and some of the mistakes that are out there about this investment. We'll talk about all that and more after the break. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. This is a pretty personal day. I've been thinking about May 30th for quite a long time. And the reason I have is that I've known that we've been talking about starting a new type of show on June 2nd. It'll have the same elements. We'll have a review. We'll have So You Want to Talk to Samson's. We'll have our Nothing Personal picks of the day. We'll have Wait to Sees. We'll have Words of the Day. We're going to be giving you two 50-minute shows back to back live at 7 a.m. starting Monday. Same bat channel, different bat time. So go to Nothing Personal with David Samson. That's the YouTube channel. Please hit subscribe. It matters. And the way we build our channel is the right way. Every real subscriber at a time. Thank you. If you want to catch us on the DraftKings network, we will be there 2 hours, 8 to 10 every single day. Of course, if you're listening wherever you get your podcasts, we appreciate that as well. Just have people listen, watch, do both, whatever you want. So no matter how hard we all work, there's always time. There's always time to watch a movie, read a book, do the things you want to do. Someone had mentioned to me, I love your suggestions. Let me just say that. I don't get to all of them. I keep a running list on my phone of things I want to watch. I keep a running list of things I have watched, quite obviously, and things that we've reviewed. Although you can go to the document at davidsamsonpodcast.com and see every movie we've ever reviewed. There'll be new merch ready to go by Monday, new logo, new graphics. Can't wait. Cannot wait. So meanwhile, people give me suggestions of things to watch, and I appreciate it. One of you said, please watch Sirens. Now, you may not have known this, but I'm a fan of White Lotus. I'm a fan of Mike White. Congratulations. He's going on Survivor 50, and I am not. You know that Megan Faye from White Lotus is on Sirens. You know that Bill Camp, one of my favorite actors, Queen's Gambit, you've seen him, is in Sirens. You know Julianne Moore is in Sirens. But better than that, you know that Kevin Bacon is in Sirens. Kevin Bacon plays the husband of Julianne Moore, who is some sort of, let's just say, is she a cult leader? There's something pretty strange going on around her and her life and the people who work for her. And this is an entire 5-episode series about discovering that maybe the person you think is the bad person is the good person, or maybe the person that you thought was really bad, you got a chance to know and ends up being totally normal. Maybe people become a prisoner of their own circumstance and feel like they have to act a certain way if they're married to a rich guy or a rich woman, or they're married to just a rich person. Or maybe people change with money, or they don't change, or they're not nice, but they could be nice, and then they get nice because they were rich, then they're not rich, but they appreciate having been rich. And maybe you realize that there's always going to be a new flavor of the day, whether it's a man, woman, whether it's a show, whatever it is, in order to keep at the top, to keep going. It's damn hard. Of course, I want to make this about me and about Coca. 1,287 episodes, and we're just getting going. It's hard. Here's the thing about Sirens. 7. That's my rating. Not 7 stars, not 7 out of 10, not 7 bats. It's 7 hours of sleep. Here's my thought. If you get 7 or more hours of sleep per night, do not watch Sirens. You don't have the time. If you get 6 hours, 59 minutes, or fewer of sleep, you've got the time. Watch Sirens. If you've got the time, I've got the beer, Miller Lite. I would absolutely watch Sirens given the fact that I don't sleep a lot. So I banged through 5 episodes in a hurry and seen Kevin Bacon. How does it not make you smile? Makes me smile. Big news out of Major League Baseball yesterday. There's nothing we liked more within Major League Baseball than women and children. We wanted women and children going to games. We wanted them loving baseball. We wanted them playing baseball because, I don't know if you know this, women are the decision makers. Hey, what are we doing Saturday night? Honey, you want to go to a game? No, not really. All right, I guess we're not going to a game. Sweetheart, do you want to go to a game? I love baseball. Hell yeah, let's go to a game. That's literally what we talk about in owners' meetings. We got to get the women liking baseball because they make the decisions in the family. Now, of course, are we talking about the nuclear family, totally, a bunch of octogenarians talking about it? Yeah. Every stereotype possible? Yeah. But listen, we're not the only industry. Every time you see a commercial, every time, other than the ED commercials, although those could be for women too. Hey, I slipped that in your coffee. It's Friday night. So trying to build your audience by getting more women to appreciate baseball and to play sports and to play baseball, that's a goal. Same with children. You want children playing baseball. The youth initiative that Rob Manfred started when he became commissioner over 10 years ago was to fill the pipeline. The pipeline that you've heard me discuss when people are all the way at the top of the pipeline going to 81 games a year at home. Those are the crazies. God love them. All the way down to the bottom of the pipeline where someone has some sort of idea that there's a baseball team in the city and they may have played a game, but they can't remember and can't name a player. That's the bottom of the pipeline to the top of the pipeline. And you're constantly moving people through the pipeline. The thought is when you've got children who play baseball, who love baseball, either they're going to grow up and be major league players, or they're going to grow up and want to be ticket holders. They're going to be moved up the pipeline. So Major League Baseball spends a lot of time talking to the owners about ways to fill the pipeline, about ways to improve the demographics of those watching the sport and engaging in the sport, ways that you can make people younger so that you don't age out and everyone croaks and that's the end of your fan base. So yesterday, I got there, Coca. Yesterday, Major League Baseball announced that they were making an 8-figure investment. That's a fancy way of saying $10 million. 10 and then 000 That's when we say, oh, that's an 8-figure guy. Now, it could be 99 million because that's 8 figures also. But when you say 8-figure, it means $10 million and $1 for all intents and purposes. Unless you say it's a high 7-figure deal. That could be like 8 million. But hey, it's a 7-figure deal. That means $1 million. So MLB is making an 8-figure investment into something called Athletes Unlimited Softball League. Does that sound familiar to anyone on this show? Kim Ng, do you remember that? Do you remember when she was the GM of the Marlins, but not really the GM because Derek Jeter was doing all of it, and she's far more of an administrative person, and that's how that went, but no one wanted to hear it because she was the first female GM who was being on the cover of magazines and on national news, and it was great for baseball. Anyone recollect this? Well, her job now is to work and to run basically this league. She's the commissioner of this league, Athletes Unlimited Softball League. Here's the thing about Athletes Unlimited Softball League. It doesn't make money. Fledgling would be one way to describe it. Very little chance of success would be another way to describe it. Needing a capital infusion would be yet another way to describe it. Baseball is the recipient on a daily basis, multiple times a day, of the following email. Dear Commissioner Manfred, it would be great if you would consider investing in my business. I've got something that you're going to love because we're all about baseball. We're all about building fans. We're all about analytics. We're all about getting women. We're all about getting children. We're all about making the game smarter, better, faster. Every day, proposals come in, just like they do to anyone who has money, any big company, because they're looking to make investments. They're looking to make strategic investments. There's a pool of money that the owners and the commissioner, through the commissioner, set aside for growth of the game. That leaves a lot of open interpretation for the commissioner and the commissioner's office. Because I could argue that coming up with a better way to, what's it called, what Garrett Cole has? Oh, come on, Coca. I can't even. The sticky stuff. Spider tack. Way to go, Coca. You are locked in on a Friday. Loving it. 12 more minutes. You got this. Baseball coming up with spider tack and companies coming to them saying, hey, we've got an alternative to the sticky stuff. It's going to be really good for you. Just give us a mid 8-figure investment. That's really all the AUSL did, the Athletes Unlimited Softball League, is they gave a proposal to Major League Baseball saying, why don't you buy part of our business? Because we need funding. We can't borrow any money from the banks. We have no investors who want to come in, and this would be a strategic investment for you. This would offer an opportunity to get women playing baseball, get women interested in watching women playing baseball, therefore getting women interested in buying your tickets and engaging with your teams. Because women's sports is having a moment. It's one of my favorite things that people in sales do when they're trying to raise money for their company, when they're trying to sell something. You always say, hey, this is having a moment. A lot of things having moments at any particular time, right? I agree that women's sports is having a moment because we keep being told that. We keep being told that the valuations of franchises are going up. We keep being told that leagues are sprouting like weeds in a field. The thing about starting a league and having a league is not a lot of them survive. Even fewer of them are profitable. Getting any sort of distribution, getting any sort of basically your foot in the ground with sales and tickets, anything is very difficult. And this league is no exception. While it is true that Major League Baseball wants to take advantage of, quote, this moment, that's not why they made this investment. They made this investment because it gave them the ability to do this sort of release. It gave them the ability to talk on national talk shows about how they're supporting women's sports. They took what could be like a 20% equity position in an entire league. When owners are told about these investments, we are not told that these investments will pay off. When we wanted to find players in India, invested so much money, find me Yao Ming, but in India. All right, we spent too much money on that. We're not going to find a player. See you later. When you put money into companies like this, you have to assume that you're going to hit maybe 5% of the time. At most, you're going to get paid back. But then you get to actually excuse the investment by claiming, well, wait a minute, look at what we've done in this demographic at the big league level. Look at the way we can say that women are now 11% of our audience and not 10. Look at the way we can say that we're in position when we go to sell broadcast rights to NBC or Apple or any of the streamers after they've left ESPN in the dust and say, look at these demos, baby. And we're putting our money where our mouth is by making these sort of investments. It all makes perfect sense. And guess what MLB is going to do? And you heard it the way they released this information. Not only are they taking an equity stake, but Major League Baseball will assist this league in marketing and content distribution. The 4 teams currently in the AUSL, they're going to play in 12 locations, and they're sort of a traveling league in a way the Premier Lacrosse League is. Go listen to our show we did with Paul Rabel this week. It was fantastic. Love doing that. But ESPN is going to broadcast a bunch of games this summer of the AUSL because they need content, and it's not going to be MLB games after this season. They're going to do a bunch of games on MLB.TV because when you own your own network, you got nothing but time, baby. You can put games on and have the opportunity to showcase different demographics. It all makes perfect sense. This sort of strategic partnership is the type of thing that ends up over time. When you do enough of them, you build up not just what you can build up your capital losses in a capital account and you can write it off, no doubt. Or once in a while, maybe twice in your life, you can hit it big and the league becomes a huge success. But it doesn't matter. The focus is on today. And today, what MLB did makes a whole lot of dollars and cents. Nothing personal pick of the day. Yesterday, I really like every day I want to win the picks of the day. Obviously, it means a lot to me. On Thursdays, the Nothing Personal Pick of the Day is sponsored by DraftKings, and we went 2-0. Why were the Oilers plus 114 over the Stars? How is that even possible, Coca? We took them, and it wasn't even close. Why were the Knicks only giving 4 when they could have given, let me think about this, 16.5 and still covered? Let's talk about the weekend. We're 68-70. I got a couple things. Tonight is a very interesting series. There's no NBA game, no NHL game. There is a very interesting series happening between the Yankees and the Dodgers. The Yankees, I admit it, they're playing great. They are playing great. The Dodgers are the Dodgers. Tonight, you've got Max Fried against Tony Gonsolin. Can you imagine the Yankees are favored minus 130 over the Dodgers in LA at Chavez Ravine? We're taking him. Max Fried this season has been unstoppable. ERA under 2. It may even be under 1.5. And good pitching will beat good hitting every single time. Max Fried and the Yankees over the Dodgers. That's Friday. Tomorrow, write this down because we have 2 things to talk about for tomorrow. 1, we're going to do a run line parlay. Go to DraftKings and download the app. Put in code Samson. But A run line parlay is when you take the Tigers and the Phillies. You take the two best pitchers right now in Skubal, who is coming off that complete game masterpiece. You take Jesus Luzardo, the guy traded from the Marlins to the Phillies, who it turns out may be the Phillies' second best starter. He's past Sanchez, Nola, Suarez. He may be behind Wheeler, maybe. And you do a run line parlay, which means they both have to win by more than 1.5 runs. Tigers and Phillies, two of the best teams. I love that play. That's for Saturday when Skubal and Luzardo play. Tomorrow is also Corbin Day. Don't forget, anytime Patrick Corbin pitches, we go against him. We are taking Sonny Gray and the Cardinals, the surprise team of baseball. Let there be no doubt. The Cardinals are the surprise team of baseball. We're taking them over the Rangers and Patrick Corbin. And our third play of Saturday, our fourth play of the weekend, 4 plays this weekend as we head into Monday's 2-hour show. We got the Pacers-Knicks game Saturday night. Could the Knicks win on the road and force a game 7? Could the Pacers actually not realize that they better get at least a few days rest before Thursday, June 5th, because otherwise Oklahoma City could win in 4 instead of in 5? The Pacers are going to beat the Knicks. I've done very well with this series, actually, Coca. So it's sort of like the reverse mushy again, because I really do want, we had the Knicks yesterday and won, but I do want, what is it? Mush? Oh, I said moosh. Sorry. Reverse mushy? I don't know what the word is. And I don't think we need to stop the show with 4 minutes to go unless you want to give me a linguistic lesson right now. Feel free. What is the way to say it? Mush. Mush. That's the nothing personal pick of the day. Pacers -4 over the Knicks. I want to end the show. Couple things before we do our sign off. One, pay attention. Chris Sale did something last night. You've heard of him. It's called the Cy Young Award winner. Chris Sale of the Atlanta Braves got his 2,500th strikeout. That's a pretty good list when you join the 2,500K club. Do you know who's in that club right now active? Hall of Famer Clayton Kershaw, Hall of Famer Max Scherzer, and Hall of Famer Justin Verlander. That's it. Is Chris Sale a Hall of Famer? Not a first balloter, but when you look at his career, he's got a chance. He's only the 40th pitcher in MLB history to get 2,500 strikeouts, and he was the fastest to ever do it. Congratulations to Chris Sale in Atlanta, except they haven't been able to enjoy it. Because first they had Strider hurt, then Strider came back, then Strider got hurt, then Acuna came back, and now he is playing fine, but the Braves are back to below 500 after getting back to 500, even going above 500 after their crappy start to the season. Acuna's back. They split their doubleheader with the Phillies last night, and then they got the worst news you can get. When a player comes off the mound and says to the manager, "Pop goes the weasel," or "Snap, crackle, I pop my elbow," the manager tells the bench coach, who tells the pitching coach, who tells the clubby, who tells the trainer, who tells the GM, who tells the president, who tells the owner, and before you know it, you're despondent beyond repair. AJ Smith-Shawver is out. He felt his elbow pop. They're not saying anything, except Brian Snitker said he felt the pop. Snitker said it doesn't look good. Here's what happens when something goes pop. Your season is over. Pop is generally what happens. I want you to picture when the ligaments, the tendons, everything falls off from where it's supposed to be. Boop. Except it's more like a pop, if you've heard it. If you ever go to a ballpark where there's only like 5,000 people and you're sitting in the front row and you can pretty much hear every time a catcher belches, that sound that you hear, it's the exact opposite of the great sound of when someone hits the sweet spot and Vladimir Guerrero hits at 500 feet. The pop is the nightmare. The reality is that the Braves are having their depth tested. They're having their season tested. And for them to make Coca's dreams come true and make it to the World Series and win the pennant, they're going to need to do something that is extremely unlikely for them to do. And that is overcome this injury, overcome where they are right now as we head into June. NG, baby, not good. Well, we'll be back Monday, we've got a full 2-hour show. We will debut at 7 a.m. Eastern. We're going to talk about May because the month of May is over, which means we're heading into June for MLB. We'll have you covered for everything else that happens during the course of the weekend. And we will start and never stop. Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. You will be on the Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel. And I sign off by saying this, and I said it yesterday. It's all because of you, your loyalty. I love to hear your emails and see your DMs at David P. Samson. I want to always hear from you because it satiates my ego and makes me feel super good. I appreciate you. You appreciate me. I normally say it's just business, which it is going to 2 hours. But you know what? It's super personal. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday, 7 a.m. live.